Okay, fourth rule for debating, frame the debate properly. So you see this all the time. People frame the debate completely incorrectly. So in every debate, the left is trying to frame the debate in a particular way. So let's take an example from the last couple of weeks. The left was trying to frame this issue on the border as Donald Trump is separating children from their parents. And the Trump administration responded by saying, well, the reason we're separating children from their parents is because it was a deterrent. That was their original response. That is the worst response ever. Right? That is a bad response. The way that they should have responded is by saying, first of all, that's not true. We don't want to separate children from their parents. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals rules that if we arrest people, we have to separate children from their parents. So if you don't like that rule, we can go back to the Obama-era rule where we detained everybody, which is, of course, what Trump is doing now. Right now, Trump has said, okay, well, fine, we'll detain everybody. And then the left goes, well, it's Nazi-esque when you separate parents and children, and it's Nazi-esque when you keep them together, because their end argument is they just want everybody released. But how you frame the debate originally really matters in a major way. Now, President Trump actually is typically very good at framing the debate. Right? President Trump actually is great at picking a frame that works for him and then moving on it. So instinctively, he has a good feel for this. So on the immigration debate, when he says immediately, Democrats want open borders, that is a good way to frame the debate, because that is actually the debate, and Democrats don't want to have that debate because they lose that debate. They want to have the you're mean to kids debate. The problem with this latest rollout is that if they'd rolled it out with, you want open borders, we don't want open borders, the reasons parents are being separated from kids is because that is the current law, we'd like the law to change, and we're calling on Congress to do so, that would have been the way to frame the debate totally. They're coming around to it. It's just a little bit late. So it's all about framing the debate whenever you're debating anybody, and this is true for any topic. The left has a series of frames on debate. Whenever they talk about global warming, for example, they will frame the debate as, you don't care whether there's global warming, or you're a global warming denier. The way you should actually frame the debate is, okay, what are your solutions to global warming? The reason being that I assume that there are very few climate scientists in the room. I'm not a climate scientist. I don't know that much about the reactivity of the atmosphere to carbon emissions. But even if I accept the IPCC estimate that by the end of the century, the average climate across planet Earth will rise something on the order of 7 degrees Fahrenheit, that does not suggest that massive government interventionism is necessarily the fix. In fact, it's a pretty good shot that it's not the fix, considering that if the Kyoto Protocols or the Paris Accords were implemented right now, it would barely lower the temperature at all, according to their own best estimates. Once you get into that, the left has nothing to say. They'd prefer to stick in the area where you're an ignoramus who doesn't know anything about science and you hate science. So it's all about reframing every debate, right? On abortion, it's about not arguing about women's choice, it's about arguing whether this is a human life or not, because that really is the only debate that matters, right? I'm not against women's choice. Women can choose to do whatever they want, just they can't kill babies, right? Because I can't kill babies, because no one can kill babies. So it's all about where you choose to frame the debate.